following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Sounds 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick and Michael Sindrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. You might notice a little change today in the studio setup. I'm actually at my house, a tad bit under the weather. So as Watson said earlier, if you see what looks like problems with the nose and I get up and run out of here, you'll know exactly what's going on. But anyway, we got a good show for you this afternoon. Watson, notice our little banner back here. We've gotten so high tech.
Oh, Lord, you need to give that to Terry.
He could use it.
He could use that. Yeah,
that's a good point. To be honest, Terry's whole setup needs some sprucing. Would you say that?
I'm going to take up from my buddy Terry now. I'm not going to just jump on the bandwagon.
Well, you started it.
Well, I was being constructive. That'd be a good thing that they could take to Terry, let him use when he's
trying to be helpful. Were you?
I was being helpful. Yes, okay. I wasn't jumping on a bandwagon to lash him like you do all the time.
Most of mine is about the Yankees.
Well, it starts with the Yankees, but that gets you in the mood just to go after him. So
let's see what Billy Derrick's up to. Billy, how you doing today?
George, I'm doing great back here in the studio while you're nice and comfortable back home. So
yeah, do you miss me?
It's a little lonely here in the studio without you, George. There's not as much going on, but we'll do our best here today.
Well, let me say this. We got a good show for you today. The headliner being Arizona State football coach Herm Edwards at 5 o'clock this afternoon. Very excited about that.
No doubt, George. We got Herm Edwards, also Harry Marino as well, to talk a little all the issues surrounding minor league baseball as well, with some of those contract disputes, all these teams getting kind of booted out of their leagues and cities. So we'll also get into that. But George, should we do Terry McCormick's Daily Titans update now?
Well, help me with this, because in the gizmo that you've set up here, should I be able to see Terry?
Well, no, George. That takes some work on my part. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, and then we will add Terry to this stream, and look who's here.
Look at the new setup he's got.
Terry's at home.
Looks to me like there's some flora and fauna in the background.
Yes, I'm at home in my living room, George, and sitting here on the couch, and behind me is some of the decor that we have here.
That is really fascinating.
Including a photo of Connor, if you'll look real closely back over my left shoulder.
The child.
Yes.
How is the child?
He's doing well. He's getting ready to start college in the fall. He's working part-time now at Lowe's.
Really?
Yes, he is.
Do you think he's a good employee?
Probably. I mean, he seems like a pretty good guy. You remember I told you what happened, how his baseball career ended, right? Watson's not heard that story.
No, well, let's hear it.
Well, his high school baseball career ended in the most unusual of ways, Watson. We were playing in the district tournament, and we have the bases loaded in the last inning with nobody out, and he hits a scorching line drive right over the second baseman's head that looks like, for all the world, it's going to be a bases clearing double. The second baseman leaps as high as he can. The ball then tips off the very end of his glove and caroms the ball up in the air. He turns around, finds it, catches it, and turned a triple play that ended the game, ended our season, and was the last at bat of his career.
Oh, my gracious. That's a good one.
That is a good story.
Yeah. There is a silver lining, though. The good news, 3 days later, he found out he made the all-district team. So
good
it
for
ended
him.
well.
Tell him
I'm glad the
congratulations.
story had a
That's good.
conclusion because our show will end by around 6.
But you want to know some Titans stuff, right, George?
Oh,
Yeah, tell me
George.
what's going on out there. Today is the first day they hit the field.
Today was the first day out on the field with the full team. Now, obviously, some of the guys had been out there already, the rookies and some of the quarterbacks, some of the players returning from injuries. But today was the very first day of the full squad out there. And I got to tell you, a couple of bright spots. Ryan Tannehill looked really, really sharp operating the offense, and the offense looked really good. Tannehill last year in Camp George, a lot was made of, at least by the media, about the passes that were being tipped and intercepted and the pass protection issues. And the Titans kept saying, no big deal, no big deal. It'll iron itself out. Well, it never did. But today, I don't know that I even saw hardly a single pass hit the ground. Everything found its intended target, it looked like, from Ryan Tannehill. And then on the first 2 plays of 7-on-7, he hits Nick Westbrook-Akina on a deep go route on the very first play. Then on the second play, the rookie, Traylon Burks, who has been making lots of headlines for all the wrong reasons because of his conditioning issues and asthma, made a full layout diving catch about 30 or 35 yards down the field for a big gain. And Traylon Burks looks the part. He has come into camp in pretty good shape. He's said he's lost about 5 or 6 pounds. He's working on, getting the conditioning all behind him, and he looks ready to go. He's a guy they're going to need if they're going to contend and have some balance on offense. And he looked good the first day.
So how much of this are you all allowed to watch, Terry?
We can watch the whole thing. We can't report on it while it's going on. We can report on some things while they're, after the fact and things like that. We can tweet out live early in practice before they start 7-on-7s and team drills and things like that. The only thing that we're not allowed really to report on, and sooner or later those things are going to the cat's going to get out of the bag on those, because it always does, are the who's playing where, who's starting at left guard, who's starting at right tackle, who's starting here, who's starting there. Those sorts of things will get out in time, but they don't like those things out until, Mike Vrabel has a chance to address it and, say definitively on the record, this or that is happening.
Terry, real quickly, when are fans allowed to watch? When are they not?
Well, there's only 2 practices, George, that are going to be open. And if you didn't go on the Titans website last week and sign up for one of the free tickets for those 2 dates, I'm afraid you're out of luck because of all the construction issues, because of all the parking issues around there. The first open practice is Saturday at 9:30, and it is limited to those who have those free tickets. And then the next one is August the 5th, which I believe is a week from Friday. So those are the only 2 that are open. And this year's, best I can tell, there is no stadium practice at Nissan Stadium like there was in prior years before COVID and all that.
Okay, good info, Terry. Great backdrop today. Just constant improvement.
That's what we strive for, George, getting it right.
Talk to you.
All right. See you guys.
Billy, is Terry sponsored?
Terry is sponsored. Sorry about that delay. George, Terry is sponsored by the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners. They are proven to be trusted with your most personal asset. The Justin Tucker team, call them at 615-906-8458. And he's also sponsored by Sumner Funeral and Cremation. They are sharing their family with yours in your time of need, now with 2 convenient locations in Gallatin and Hendersonville, and online at sumnerfuneral.com. Sumner Funeral and Cremation, traditional, affordable, and dignified.
Okay, let's get to the update, and then we'll get into the meat of the show. Let's start, Billy, with item number 1.
George, item number 1, as we begin this update, is the Brittany Griner situation. And we all know what has gone on. It's been a pretty global story because of where her situation happened. But the U.S. has offered a deal for her. And Georgia, I wasn't able to get the specifics up, kind of scrambling today. But Brittany Griner, U.S. kind of giving her a little bit of a second chance here.
Well, Watson, this broke about 2 hours ago, and apparently the United States made the offer several weeks ago, and it looks like it's a 2-for-1 that the American side is wanting Brittany Griner and Paul Whelan released, and I think what they're offering back is one Soviet prisoner who has been there for a good while. I don't want to get into a lot of this, but I hope something does happen.
Yeah, I'd like to see them both home. That's a tough thing for the president to do, because the next one, then the next one, then the next one, and where do you call it off? So, but gosh, let's hope that she gets out of there. I can't imagine what she and the other guy are going through. I mean, especially her being a lady, and I just can't imagine what it could be.
Okay, Billy, what about item number 2?
Item number 2, George, we've got some Mike Trout news, and he's got some back issues, George. Mike Trout, he has a pretty rare condition. He will likely have to manage his back condition for the rest of this season, and it's unknown. His timeline is unknown, so no one really knows when Mike Trout will be able to get back on the field. But a very rare back condition for Mike Trout, and boy, hopefully he's able to get back healthy, because he is no doubt the best player in baseball.
Watson, you can make the argument that the Angels have the 2 best players in baseball if you were to say that Ohtani is number 2. And yet the truth of it is, with very little pitching, they don't get anything done.
No, it's a shame, isn't it? For those 2 players, as good as they are, not to be winning games, number one, and then number 2, the Angels and their fans. I mean, that's a sad deal. You guys, I'm not sure I wouldn't put Ohtani in front of Trout myself. I mean, when you pitch like he does, hit like he does, I think he's more valuable than even Trout is on that team.
Right now, I don't disagree with you. Ohtani has just become an absolute rock star. He pitched in Atlanta over the weekend, had 6 or 7 shutout innings. I watched it. He was dominant. And then Matt Olson got to him, and he kind of fell apart. But, man, he is fun to watch. Billy, I know we need to go quick. What's item number 3?
Yeah, we got to go quick here, George, but we've been kind of tracking this LIV Golf saga here in the past few weeks, and they will expand to 14 events, and they will increase their total purse to $405 million beginning in 2023. So LIV Golf is not shying away from the money, and they're ready to roll.
Watson, they're just throwing money out there like it's going out of style.
George, it's going to be interesting to watch this. I know we need to go, but they talk about all the things that happens in that country, and I know there's other sports, professional sports involved in other countries, and so I'm anxious to watch this. This one's been blown up more than some of the others, but it could bring some of the other sports back up again, in my opinion, George, of what's going on in some of these other countries too.
It's got NFL and the old AFL, the old American Football League, written all over it. It's got some of that same feel to it. Yep. I know we got to go to the break. A lot of you are sitting there going, who is Harry Mourinho? Because he'll be our first guest on the show. Well, he, to my knowledge, is not related to Dan Marino, but he has led the effort, and I'll get specific about it when he comes on, to have the minor leaguers treated better when they're on the minor league level. And the truth of it is, I think he's got a lot of support for what he's trying to do. And before it's over, I think this is all going to end up in court. He will join us here in about 3 minutes. So we'll go to the break by telling you that you're watching Main Street Media Television. And yes, I'm going to go blow my nose.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you. Jody Jones Dentistry can.
When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
We are back, and we welcome all of you in. The man in the middle of the screen and now in the upper right-hand corner is Harry Mourinho. I'm going to read a little bit of this. His group is Advocates for Minor Leaguers, and having once been a minor league announcer, I've paid very close attention to this story. And essentially what Harry and a group are alleging is that MiLB has abused its exemption to the detriment of the American people, and he joins us. And Harry, first of all, thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me on.
So tell me a little bit about how you got involved in this to begin with.
So I am a former minor league baseball player myself. I spent time in the Baltimore Orioles organization. I also spent time in the Arizona Diamondbacks organization. And, the experience that I had and that I witnessed from my teammates during that time was really troubling. My first year in the minor leagues, I made $3,300 for the whole year. My second year, I witnessed, 5 guys living in a 1-bedroom apartment, just struggling to make ends meet. And then I became an attorney, went to law school and learned about baseball's antitrust exemption, which allows the owners to collude on minor league pay. and some of the history here in terms of labor relations in baseball, and realized that sort of the practical unfairness that I had seen had a source that really didn't make any sense in terms of this unique exemption. And Advocates for Minor Leaguers formed 2 years ago as an organization seeking to fight this and to make things better for minor league players. And I didn't hesitate to get involved, and it's been exciting to see where things have gone.
So ultimately, are you trying to get a court to rule on this?
So ultimately, what I've said and what we continue to say is we're basically looking to improve things for minor league players in any way that we can. And there's a few different paths. One is through legislation, right? So we currently have the United States Congress looking into baseball's antitrust exemption and repealing it, which would essentially prohibit major league owners from colluding on minor league salaries and enable minor league players to negotiate salaries with their teams consistent with what they're actually worth. So that legislative angle is one. Obviously, minor league baseball players don't have a union. Unions are, players associations are the norm in professional sports. So bringing players together to act collectively and move towards, one day a players association. That's another thing that we've thought about and that we, we work on as well. And then the litigation piece, the courts, is something that happens more outside of our organization. One of our co-founders, former player and attorney named Garrett Broshhouse, has had a long-running minimum wage lawsuit against Major League Baseball, and that lawsuit was actually settled just a couple of weeks ago for $185 million. So there's a bunch of different pathways here to try to make things better for minor leaguers, and we're sort of open to and pursuing all of them.
Harry, as a big baseball fan, I think one of my biggest disappointments has been that I believe that the major leaguers have basically turned their back on the minor leagues and what goes on down there. Are you getting any help from above?
Yeah, so look, historically, obviously, the Major League Baseball Players Association does not represent minor leaguers and has not represented minor leaguers.
Are you getting any help from above?
But yeah, so what we can say is the Major League Baseball Players Association is supportive of our organization, and individual major league players have demonstrated support as well, publicly and behind the scenes. And so going forward, we remain certainly hopeful that that we're in a period of transition, and that eventually major league players and the union will be even more supportive of minor leaguers. They are more supportive now than they have been in the past, and we hope that will only continue to grow in the years to come.
Congress is paying attention to this, aren't they?
Congress is paying close attention to this, and for good reason. I mean, I think this is a bipartisan issue. This is not a left or a right issue. This is about basic fairness. Why should Major League Baseball have a legal carve-out that enables it to underpay its workers that the NFL, the NBA, NHL don't have, that no other businesses have? McDonald's and Burger King don't have, Apple, Facebook. Nobody else has this carve-out. Why should Major League Baseball, especially when they've abused it to the tune of paying players $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a year? I think it doesn't make any sense. And there are politicians on both sides of the aisle that have had their eyes open to that now. And I think that MLB is in some real trouble, honestly, because of the folks who are paying attention to this now.
Harry, you brought up earlier the case that got settled a few weeks ago, and I had noticed that for about $185 million. Does that give you more hope that pretty soon there's going to be a major breakthrough?
Yeah, look, I think this was an important step because what it did was it was really the first time that Major League Baseball had to acknowledge that its treatment of minor leaguers was wrong. Previously, Major League Baseball had said, "Oh, these are seasonal apprentices. Oh, it's not that bad. They're lucky to have the opportunity." What happened in this case is a federal judge said, "Not really. That's not going to pass muster anymore. These are employees. They work year round. You need to pay them accordingly." And so I think those legal rulings are really important. And then just the players coming together through a class action to work together and get a win also is really important for showing players that when they do challenge the status quo and stand together and sort of stand up for what's right, that they can get measurable, real victories. And our hope is this is the first victory of many for minor league players.
Watson, take it away.
Harry, I can relate to this a little bit because back in the 60s out of high school, the Red Sox came to my house and were going to take me early and told me where I would go. And I'd heard all the rumors about that, but I couldn't sign a football scholarship and do this. I decided to go ahead and play football and baseball in college. To me, I don't understand why Major League Baseball doesn't see that. They could be hurting getting certain players, and then when you get them and you go through what you went through in the minor leagues and you're fighting for your life, they got to lose some really good.
So I can't even hear, like, StreamYard said my mic lost connection.
It's really
I'm listening to it right now on the computer's audio, like default speaker audio, but I'm not hearing it through my headphones.
Am I getting feedback here?
I'm not sure what's going on there, Billy. We're hearing what you're saying on the air, so if you can, you may need to turn yourself down.
No worries. So I think it's a great question because at the end of the day, what Major League Baseball is doing here with its prospects is very short-sighted, and they are shooting themselves in the foot, both because players, Kyler Murray comes to mind, but others as well, might choose to go play another sport instead of baseball, but also because the players who are in the system are not going to maximize their talent, are not going to become the best baseball players they can be when they're making this salary, when they have to work second jobs in the off season just to make ends meet. I mean, we have countless players who are working manual labor, working construction, driving for Uber, working retail in the off season when they should be focusing their attention on becoming the best baseball player they can be. And that's to the detriment, not only of the player, but also it's to the detriment of the Major League organization and Major League Baseball as an entity.
Harry, they got to be losing good players way too early that they just give up. And when they may turn into great players and 20-year players in the majors, I don't get that at all. They're shooting themselves in the foot, in my opinion. And then the second piece of that I want you to comment on are the players. Most of those went through that, and they got to know it's hurting baseball, that we're losing good players, and it's not fair to those guys because they did it themselves. I don't understand why the players' union, more than just a single player popping out and saying something, the union isn't all over this.
Yeah, look, I think that these are all fair questions. I think one thing to appreciate is how quickly sort of the conversation around this has changed in the last couple of years. Previously, minor league players were really quiet. So this was really kind of a secret within the industry more than anything else. And so minor league players never really had a thought of banding together to make anything better. And I think against that backdrop, it was perhaps unrealistic to think that major league players were going to step in and do this for minor league players. Now the situation's changing now, right? So now minor league players through our organization have come together, thousands of them, understand what they're being subjected to and are speaking up and are getting attention. And so, like I said earlier, I think that, I remain hopeful for where this is going because of the fact that the facts on the ground are changing so quickly. I think it's natural for major league players and the Major League Union to be even more supportive of minor leaguers going forward, given the fact that minor leaguers have kind of taken that first step of getting together and saying enough is enough.
Yeah. The last thing, George, that I got is also watching Major League Baseball do away with these minor league teams in these small towns across the country. We've had a good friend, George and I, that had one of those, and I didn't understand that move by Major League Baseball. I mean, why? I know they're trying to save money, but when you don't spend the money you don't get the product. And I thought that was very unfair to a lot of these little small towns that love their teams, and just didn't understand that. Any thoughts on your part on that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think that the thing that we have to realize is the current leadership of Major League Baseball and the owners are really short-sighted in certain ways and very focused on year-to-year, bottom line profits. And that is not in the long-term interest, I think, of players and fans. Also, it's not in their own long-term interest, right, to create a sustainable, popular product. And I think when we look at the minor leagues, what we see is we have 40 teams that lost affiliation and 1,000 players that lost jobs, right? When MLB contracted teams a couple of years ago. So we have a supply of terrific professional athletes that want to play. We have communities, demand to watch them play, communities and teams that are out there waiting to have these teams. Were devastated when the teams were taken away. Why should Major League Baseball and the 30 owners, whose focus is elsewhere clearly than on the minor leagues, have the ability to prevent these teams and these players from putting on games for fans that want to watch? It doesn't make any sense. And that's a big part of what we're advocating for in Congress with respect to this antitrust exemption is if Major League Baseball didn't have unilateral authority to basically control the entire size of the minor leagues, both from a team and a player perspective, we would have an open market where supply would be able to meet demand, and people want to watch minor league baseball across this country. People want to play it. That should be able to happen, and Major League Baseball should not have the legal authority to prevent it from happening. And I think that message is resonating with folks on Capitol Hill, and our hope is that there will be a legal change here that will ensure there's no further contraction, because the other thing we're hearing is, those were the first 40 teams, but MLB owners might want to cut even more teams, and that would be very short-sighted and devastating to minor league players, to minor league fans and communities. And we're doing everything we can to step in and make sure that no more towns and cities across the United States lose minor league baseball.
Harry, as I try to pay attention to this, what is the next move here?
So let's see. Most immediately, the Senate Judiciary Committee that is looking into this antitrust exemption, especially its impact on minor league baseball, sent a letter to the commissioner, Rob Manfred, last week, and he will be responding on Friday. He got a 3-day extension. It was supposed to be yesterday. They got an extension for a few days. So Friday, Major League Baseball will be responding to Congress, explaining why it should keep its exemption and why basically answering for these things that we're talking about, the mistreatment of players, the contraction of teams. They're being held accountable now, and it will be very, very interesting to see what their public stance is and what exactly they have to say for themselves about why minor league players should be treated this way, why minor league teams should be eliminated from these towns and cities, and why they should retain this unique and baseless antitrust exemption. So I'll be as interested as others to see what they come up with.
Listen, I wish you a lot of luck on this. I agree with virtually everything you have put out there. Having once worked on the minor league level, I know exactly what you're talking about. So listen, best of luck. We may want to get back with you at some point. And when we do, hopefully I won't be coughing and wheezing in the middle of it.
No, listen, I appreciate the support and the opportunity to come on, and happy to come back anytime.
Harry, thank you.
Thank you both.
Go get him.
Harry Marino joining us here on the show. Watson, we're going to come back and talk about this a little bit. I know it's a story that is of interest to you because this was sort of the playing field that you had to deal with 50 years ago and what you were considering.
Yes, absolutely it was.
Okay, here's what we'll do. We'll come back and then we'll talk a little bit more about this whole issue. I certainly have some strong opinions. I know Watson does as well. This is Main Street Media Television.
At Sumner Funeral and Cremation, our mission is to serve families as our own, celebrate the life of their loved one, and help begin the healing process.
My whole family, including my wife and my mom and siblings, were very happy with the treatment that we received. I would highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation.
We offer funeral, burial, cremations, and pre-planning services.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
I've done sports, I've been a photographer, I've been an editor, I've been a producer, I've been a reporter, I've been an anchor. I mean, I've done every job you could possibly imagine this. And so sports was a way to have fun and be different. But then I realized community is where it's at, and community and local and doing places and going, seeing people. And, sports, you go to a stadium, everybody celebrates and they go their different ways. But community-wise, there's so much going on.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin.
When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
We are back and excited at the top of the hour. Arizona State football coach Herm Edwards will join us, and that is always lively, sometimes a little unpredictable, but it is never dull. Watson, let's go back to the issue that Harry Mourinho has brought up. This is just my opinion. In the late 60s, the major league owners had total control of what was going on and treated the major league players like crap. And finally, the players got smart. And the most important thing that I think has gone on in the last 50 years of baseball was the hiring of Marvin Miller to run the players union. Now, I'll also tell you that I think it's gone too far now that the pendulum has swung too far with the major league salaries. But really, Marvin Miller changed the major league system, and now basically they've gone down to the minor league level, and they're treating those guys exactly the same as they did 50 years ago on the major league level.
George, it's not one bit better. If there's one thing in professional sports that hadn't gotten better, this is it. The way they treat minor league baseball players. If anything, it's gotten worse. I thought it was awful when they took those teams away. We know those small towns. We've sit in the stands at some of those small towns and watch minor league baseball in those communities just jump all over it. And it's given those players ample opportunity to get better. And I just can't imagine how you can be the best you can be when you're sleeping 5 to a room. You're on a bus, getting to a place to play at 6 in the morning, and you play at 2 that afternoon, and sleeping on that bus all night long. As soon as the season ends, you're working other jobs. there's no doubt that that was part of the decision that my family made with me out of high school. Was I'm 18, barely 18. Well, I wasn't 18 yet. I would have been 18 in April. They came to see me in January. And that I was just going to jump off at 18 and be treated like that. So I don't understand it. They're shooting themselves in the foot, George. This isn't even 50-50. I don't understand their thinking at all.
Well, I think the first problem, Watson, is you have a commissioner who's a labor negotiator. I don't think Rob Manfred knows anything about baseball. I don't think he loves the sport. And I think from time to time, about every 3 months, he will shoot himself in the foot. And recently he came out with maybe the dumbest thing he said since he's been commissioner, that he, rejects the premise that these minor league players are being treated unfairly. He's making $17.5 million a year. That seems a little two-faced.
Oh, it's past two-faced. I mean, that's just as hypocritical as it can be. And this is your future of your sport. How many guys are drafted like I would have been? How many guys are drafted and go straight to the major leagues? Doesn't work that way. So they're shooting themselves in the foot by the way they do this. And they say, well, we take a little better care of the better player. Well, that's wrong too. If you're going to pay the better player, the higher drafted player, more money, okay, I get that. You should. But the way you treat them, or the way they travel, the way they live, all those things, George, there should be no difference. And what a way to spend a little bit more money, not a ton, a little bit more money, and take care of these young kids. And then all of a sudden, you're going to get some Mickey Mantles pop out of it.
Watson, I think one of the biggest disappointments to me in this whole story is I never see any of the major league players come out and support the minor league people. And that's really disturbing to me.
I asked that question. Why in the world are the major league players not behind taking care of these guys? Why in the world? They all went through it. And if they're what they're supposed to be, you want to do everything you can to make Major League Baseball the best it can be. And we all just look through the sounds, George, all the players you've seen come through there that made it. How many more were there before they got to the level of the sounds that gave it up, that had unbelievable talent? The players union should be all over this, in my opinion. And if the players would speak up more to the union, they would be. It tells me the major league player is not trying to protect the minor league player. Crazy.
So let me toss a couple of theories at you. On the major league level, you've got some players who are really good guys, and then you've got a group that can be real buttholes. I've always believed that if they had gotten treated better on the minor league level, that they would not be as difficult to deal with on the major league level. Do you buy that?
Yeah, I think there could be something to that. Absolutely, there could be. When you're treated like a dog, and you're living in fivesomes, as Harry just talked to us about. And I would hear those stories as a high school kid about how it's going to be when they send you up to Nantucket right out of Cookeville, Tennessee, and how it's going to be, and how little of money you're going to have, and what my mother's sitting there asking all these questions, and the poor Red Sox scout's doing the best he can. And the one that got my mother she says, well, where is he going to get his education? And he says, well, we'll send him to school in the offseason. She says, I thought if they were any good, they got sent to these warmer climates to play winter baseball. He had no answer for that, and that about ended it. They just do not, and never have, thought about taking care of these kids. And to me, they're taking a knife and stabbing themselves in the chest, because I'm telling you, there's been a lot of great players that gave it up long before they should have. And I'll bet you would agree with that.
Oh, listen, there's no question about it. I've got a couple of friends who got as far as AAA and said to heck with it and bagged it. Don't know if they regret it or not, but that's the reason they essentially end it. Watson, I do believe that Harry Marino's group, I'm not saying it's going to happen in the next 3 months, but I think they're going to knock this door down. I really do.
Yeah, I tried to say it before he got off. I said, go get them, man. They're on the right track 100%. Making this public, George, because you know it from being such a baseball fan. You know a lot about it from doing minor league games. I know a lot about it because I was right in the middle of it in high school and college. And in the summer, I played with all those older guys, the Ronnie Bargazzis of the world. And a lot of those guys had done it and told me the stories. And I'm going into my junior year when I was playing with those guys. So we know a lot about it. I don't think the public understands just how bad it is.
Oh, I think you're right about that. And let's go with one of the points to that, Watson. I'm not sure the general public realizes the major league team is who pays the minor league players. This has very little to do with the minor league franchise. For instance, the Sounds, they don't pay
right.
those players on their roster. That's coming out of Milwaukee.
Yes. I was told that in my house. We will pay you all the way through. And I don't remember the amount. They were going to give me a bonus to sign, but then the salary was scary. I mean, just scary. And he had to tell us. I mean, he couldn't lie about that. And so I've known that all the way through. The major league teams pay their minor league players. And just to draft a guy, whether you're drafted second or third, or you're drafted 28th, 29th, the 28th player, there's been a bunch of those guys be great major league players. Why in the world these owners don't understand that? But to me, George, I'm not sure we got enough owners that understand how to make it, have a good program and develop your young players instead of always the dollar. See, that's what I think's happened too much in college athletics. We've gone to get these businessmen as ADs that don't understand how to build programs through each one of your sports and just want to make the dollar be the answer. And we're still dealing with the dollar being the answer in college athletics today.
Watson, if you asked me what is the route that I think will ultimately lead to the victory, I think it's Congress meddling into something that probably they, in the past, shouldn't have had to meddle in, but this has become so obvious that they're starting to. And when they start to threaten baseball with losing the antitrust exemption, that's when the Harry Marino group and the others will start getting total victories. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not a big Congress guy, I'm telling you. But this, I want them to go after. I really want them to pursue it because they carry the big lead piece, George, that could get this over the hump. And then Harry's group will jump right in the middle of it and they'll fix it. They'll fight every day to get all the pieces that need to be fixed. You're paying these players so much money. Why in the world can't you take just a little of that and take care of these minor leaguers? George, the millions they're paying these players is unbelievable, and yet they won't pay a minor leaguer. They're putting 5 in a room and stuff. You're traveling on an old beat-up bus. I'm sitting there with the Barons in Birmingham and watching them when Michael Jordan became a Baron, and he bought them a bus to where they could travel. And I mean, it's this whole thing just makes absolutely no sense. And it's another black mark on the commissioner. If you ask me, we need to get a commissioner in baseball that understands, knows, respects baseball.
Let me butt in real quick here. Did Michael Jordan actually buy the Barons a bus of their own?
He sure did.
Yes. So he could travel. He wasn't going to get on those buses they were traveling in.
That tells you how much it hasn't changed since then.
Oh, no, it has not changed. George is right. It's still what it was in the 60s in a lot of ways. The salary's gone up a little, but not in a way that cost of living has gone up.
Billy, here's one more of my wacko opinions. One of the reasons that this hasn't gone any farther is there's not a Marvin Miller leading the players union. Tony Clark is a poor man's Marvin Miller. I think he's a lost ball in high weeds. And I think if they had a Marvin Miller, somebody who really knew his stuff and had the legal background, I think this would have been done by now.
Baseball would be better off too.
Yep.
Oh,
Watson, you know what's coming?
I got a feeling I know.
Yeah. It's not a good moment for us.
No. We were 1-2 this week, yesterday, right?
Yesterday, I throw out yesterday. That question. We deserve better, don't we?
We deserve better. We got close on that.
You got two of them, though.
Huh?
Watson, you got two of them, though.
He got
three of them.
Oh, you got three.
Got three of the four and mentioned the fourth one, even though I would have been like George. I'm not sure I'd have picked the Warriors over the Clippers.
I was 0 for July. We'll go to the break on that. And then Stat of the Day is coming up next. This is Main Street Media Television.
When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
Okay, that's fine. If you're able to stay for the Herm interview, that'd be great.
Do you know when that's supposed to start?
It'll start at 5 and it'll go to like 5:20.
Okay, so I'll leave after.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee. We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards. We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit wellskinmd.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin.
J. Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
We are back. It's not necessarily a moment that we are excited about. It's Stat of the Day. And Watson, we have been found, shall we say, lacking.
lacking would be a nice. That's really been pretty nice to us. Yeah.
So yesterday's question I thought was out of bounds.
Yep.
I'm making a commissioner ruling that we got to do better on the questions. So, Billy, I'm assuming that we've got something that is much more to our standard.
George, this will be much, much more to your guys' standards. And stat of the day, before we get to it, it is sponsored by John English Antique Sports and Cards. They specialize in antique and historical sports equipment, games, advertising, and other sport-related items. You can visit John English Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee, open Tuesdays through Fridays from noon to 5 o'clock and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Visit JohnEnglishGradedCards.com. And we start with the stat of the day. All right, so who's who? It's a little bit of a different twist to today's stat of the day. Who are each of these pitchers? And it's a couple of really interesting facts here. I got to know George knows at least one of them. Watson, you probably do too. But pitcher A, 7 no-hitters in his career, but he's never won a Cy Young Award. But pitcher B, 0 no-hitters in his career, but he's got 7 Cy Young Awards. So there's your stat of the day.
Hey, Watson.
You ought to know this one, George. Help me.
This is a layup. We are going to kick butt.
Go for it, because I know you know this one.
Okay. Pitcher A has got to be Nolan Ryan, who threw 7 no-hitters, and the last one of them was when he was 46 years old as a member of the Texas Rangers. How do I know that? My dad and I actually listened to the 9th inning on WBAP out of Dallas, Fort Worth, and it was pretty amazing. So, Watson, are you with me that A is Nolan Ryan?
Now, I'm 100% would have said the same thing. Yes.
I'll go ahead and say you're correct. Nolan Ryan, pitcher, is pitcher A.
Okay. The second one, Watson, I believe, and I want you to chime in before.
I don't know that I know this one as like you will, but I knew the first one. What you got?
You know, I believe it's Greg Maddox, who had 355 career victories, most of them with the Cubs and the Atlanta Braves. I don't believe Greg Maddox ever threw a no-hitter. I don't remember one. I could be wrong. But, Watson, if you're cool with it, let's go with Greg Maddox.
I think you're right. I'm not sure I would have picked Greg, but I think after you went through it, yes, it's him.
Billy?
Roger Clemens.
Whoa. Really?
Roger Clemens never threw a no-hitter.
I knew it might trip you guys up.
Well,
okay.
Why did you say it was a gimme?
Well, I mean, George being a baseball guy, no hitters, 7 Cy Young Awards. I thought that would be a little bit of a layup. First one was definitely easy. But,
okay, you want a little stat on Clemens, Watson?
Yeah.
Clemens, in either his first year or his second year, had a 20 strikeout performance as a Boston Red Sox. I guess I'm shocked that he had no hitters.
Yeah, that's me.
He also fanned in front of Congress with the word misremembered. I'm still trying to figure out, is misremembered a real word?
No, I don't think so.
It can't be.
So he just made one up in front of Congress.
Yeah, and they all believed it.
That's the scary part, is they didn't know either.
Scary part. They went for it.
They had no idea. That's a great question.
That's a good question. I hate to tell him it is, but that's a good one. We need to look it up. Did Greg Maddox win 7 Cy Youngs?
Let's see. I don't think he won 7.
That's the only thing that threw the red flag on that I said, would that be right? I didn't know if he won 7 or not. I know he won a bunch.
Greg Maddox says here he's got 1992 through 95. He won the Cy Young, the NL Cy Young. So I don't think it's quite 7, but he's
that's 4. So yeah,
heck of a pitcher.
Who to not throw hard?
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable.
Really amazing. Okay, 5 o'clock hour starts with one of my all-time favorites. Some of you know at a previous radio station, and Watson, there have been a few. I formed a friendship with Herm Edwards, who at the time told me he was never getting back into coaching. Well, some things changed, and lo and behold, he became the head football coach at Arizona State. We caught up with him a couple of weeks ago, and trust me when I tell you, you are going to enjoy Herm. There's never a dull moment. Here we go. Okay.
I hate to break it to you, but struggling with the Herm Edwards video, but I'm going to do my best to get that back up there.
Okay, we'll try to get to that here in a couple of minutes. You let me know when it works, and we'll play around any time constraints.
I got you.
Watson, I believe he got back in because ESPN did all the salary cuts with people like Herm, Trent Dilfer, who ended up in Nashville. I'm not convinced that's what he wanted to do, but when the Arizona State thing happened, he said, what the heck, let's try it.
I think you're right, because it happened simultaneously. My brother got caught a little bit in that when he went back to North Carolina. I don't know that he would say that, but he was in negotiations with the ESPN. Again, not that they did away with him, but I just think at that point he thought, heck, I've had enough, and I'm just going to go back and give it a shot. So I think you're right.
I'm stalling around here, so I'm going to ask some stupid stuff. He obviously had made a name for himself on the pro level, not only as a player, but as a coach.
I think we may have recovered it. I'm going to try to add it.
Then let's try it.
Okay, and we're only seeing you and Herm, but no audio. And George, I apologize for this. I'm not sure why this is happening, but yeah, so that's where we're at.
On my end, it may be better that way. So, okay, let's waste a little time here while we've got some. Watson, he had not been on the college level for God only knows how many years. What kind of adjustment do you think it would be? I call it the pro game, which back then it was a 20-17 game, where on the college level it's 48-44.
Oh, there's so much more to being a college coach than an NFL head coach, George. I would promise you he went straight to Pete Carroll. That's the one I'll bet he went to. People have asked me about that a bunch. How do these pro guys – I said, I'll bet you they put a lot of people around them that know what they're doing till they learn everything about the college game. Most of the things you got to learn on the college level isn't football. It's recruiting. It's times of the year you can leave the office and can't. It's academics that you deal with constantly with your players. It's parents. It's things, those are the type of things you get on the college level that none of that happens on the NFL level. Football is different, but not that much different. It's the other stuff that Herm had to learn.
Which one do you think is more fun?
I never coached on the NFL, so I can't say. Looking back on it, I think I'm more of just a football man, and I would have just loved to get up and do football every day. And in college, I'm going to predict that maybe 40% of your time is spent on football, just football, blocking, tackling, teaching players, studying offense, defense. I'd say 40% of your job is football. Where the NFL, they are now coaches a lot more involved in drafting than they used to be. But still, I would reverse it. I'd say 70% football on the NFL level and the other 30 spent on hunting players, deciding who they want, that kind of thing.
Okay, Billy, I see something up there. Are we about to go to this?
Oh, man, I wanted to hear this.
Herm's background, his backdrop is a little bit better than mine. That's Butch Samide, who helped me get this done on Zoom. So clearly we may not be at that point yet, but we're going to endeavor to try to work this thing out. So Watson, let me go a little bit farther with that. Easier to go college to pro or pro to college?
Oh, college to pro. That's 100% college to pro, not pro to college, because of the off the field issues that you don't even think about on the NFL level at all. Yes, football's football. The pro differences, what I see is terminology. They use so many more words in calling a play than college does. College has to shorten it because of the quickness to want to snap the ball. So all of my plays have been 60 hot, 60 gut. That's a pass play, 2 pass plays. It might be XZ, X7, Z8, Y0. I mean, they go through every route a lot in the way they call plays. And so that's a big difference. The college game is zone first, defensively man second, even though that is starting to change. On the pro level, it's absolutely man coverage is first and zone coverage is second. So you have to teach a quarterback terminology differences. Every quarterback I've ever had go to the NFL, had quite a few, they'd come by and say, what's the tough part? Learning to call the plays is so different than what I did with you. So I probably hurt those guys by having very few words and calling a play so we could get in that no huddle and go, George.
We've reached a point where quarterbacks are important. Well, they're vitally important. And I've heard you say you used to be able to hide a mediocre quarterback, and you can't do that anymore. Are you surprised? Because I bet he is, that the college game has seen the pro game do a lot of copying.
I'm not surprised they have, because I think a lot of the college game can go to the pros. I've thought it for years. And I think the reason they didn't is because the pro game didn't have athletic quarterbacks 10 years ago very much. The college game has been having them for a while now, quite a while. And so now these quarterbacks, George, are being taught these systems in high school, and which they weren't at all in years back. So they go to college already much further along in these wide open offenses, quarterbacks. They're all athletes now. And so now the pro game is drafting the athletic quarterback because that's the only ones they got to draft. Very few people have the true drop back guy anymore. So I think they've had to adapt to the college game because of the quarterbacks that they're bringing in.
Okay, we're going to do this. We will go to the break and then try to get the Herm Edwards interview up. If we're not able to do that, Billy, we may take some phone calls, some questions from a text standpoint. Either way, you're watching Main Street Media Television. Stick around.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee. We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards. We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
I think journalism is like politics. It's all local, and I think Main Street Media has really hit on something that I've been preaching for 50 years. And keep the news local, right? Local stories for local readers, and that's what I like about Main Street Media. I finally found somebody who agrees with me philosophically about concentrate on local subjects, local topics, and you'll bring your readers in.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Duret Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretRadonMitigation.com. It's your last chance to get a spring tune-up for summer. Complete Service Heat and Air can clean your coils, check out your motor, and make sure you have cold air on that first hot day of summer. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way. 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. That's 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Okay, we are back. We welcome all of you into Main Street Media Television. Watson, we're going to take a few questions out of the audience that have been texted me. The first one is aimed right at you. Billy asks, are players in better shape than they were 25 years ago?
Oh, absolutely. Weights is such a bigger piece now. Off-season programs is such a much bigger piece of what they do. And staying all summer where you are, we would go home back in my time and then report in August. And now players are there from late May, June 1 till it's time to start camp. So, yes, they're in much better shape. They also have to be in better shape, George, because they're playing about 20 more plays a game average than they did back in those days because of the style of offenses that are being run.
Billy goes on to ask, with that answer, can you practice players less because they're in better shape? Is that why you used to have these grueling 3.5, 4 hour practices?
I think that is part of it. The NC2A now controls that to where you can't keep them out there as long in spring practice. In the old days, the coaches would practice till they got tired. I'm not talking about number of hours. I'm talking number of days. So you could be going on forever. They've helped the athlete that way by controlling the number of hours that you can practice. I think coaches have realized that you can wear them down. And late in the year, you don't have near as good a player because he's tired, his legs are worn out, and they're doing a better job of mentally working with you in meetings and watching tape and doing those type things and walkthroughs, as we call them, where you're standing and pointing at who you would block or check this coverage to that. Doing a lot more of those type things, George, than we did in the old days to protect the legs. They are playing 2 more games than I did. We played 10. Now they're playing 12. Of course, the better teams are playing 13, 14, 15. So I think they are protecting the player a lot better. I don't know that it's just because of the condition. In fact, I think it's more of wearing them down. The muscles get tired, sore, and end up getting injured and not being as good a player when you're that way.
Joel in Springfield asks the question, let me see if I've got it here. Do you believe the SEC is talking to other schools right now? And if so, do you think it's Clemson and Florida State?
I just read a piece about the Big Ten that somebody wrote, said inside information says there's 6 schools they're looking at. It was, I'll see if I can name them. It was Washington, Oregon, Stanford, Cal, Florida State, and Miami, not counting Notre Dame. That was the 6 that I just read in a commercial just a second ago that the Big Ten is supposedly looking at, talking to, whatever. I'm not sure that we have, the SEC, I say we, the SEC has reached out. I think most of these places have called the SEC. I think a lot of the ACC schools have called the SEC, and where is everything? If there's going to be more expansion, we'd like for you to have us around and talk to us about it. But I'm not sure the SEC has done that myself.
So, Watson, let me follow up on that, because I've thought coming out of last week and listening to everything I heard in Atlanta that basically these 2 conferences, these powerhouse things, were going to slow it down and simply wait on Notre Dame for an answer. You don't think that's the case at all?
No, I do think that's the case, but I think they're jockeying. I think they're putting themselves, if somebody were to say we're not, but then they do, I think the other one's going to leap at that point and go after some themselves. To me right now, the whole ball of wax is just the Big Ten, the SEC. The ACC is holding on for dear life. And basically, to me, the Pac-12 and the Big 12 are in trouble. And the ACC is trying to become number 3. I don't think anybody's jumping tomorrow, but I think they're sitting there lining it up that if we got to, who's here, this is who we would go to. That's what I think's going on.
Jane and Donaldson asked the question, do you believe the NCAA will exist in 10 years?
No. I don't know about the NC2A and all other sports, but I don't think it'll exist in football in 10 years. I think football will be separate of the NC2A, and I'm not sure all sports won't. We had a great conversation, George, you and I, with Gary yesterday, and he said exactly the things that I've thought all along. So that tells me, and he's a player. He's a player in all this. That tells me this is where we're headed. I do not think football and the NC2A will be together in 10 years.
She had a follow-up.
Just to butt in here real quick, George. We will be good to try the Herm Edwards interview here in about 5 minutes. Re-downloaded it, and so we should be good to try that here in about 5 minutes.
Okay, excellent. Watson, she went on to ask this question, and I basically posed it yesterday. She asks, what kind of money do we think the group of 5 would be able to command if they held their own football championship?
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know that I could give you a dollar sign. it wouldn't be anywhere close to the Power Fives. I mean, we're talking, I don't know if you saw the article that said when these contracts are extended or redone in a couple of years, it's going to go from like the SEC and 60 million to 105 million or 106 million. I thought maybe I saw on the Big Ten or whatever. My gracious. No wonder everybody's trying to get in these conferences. It's unbelievable. I would think if they could get 20, 30 million, it would be fantastic. That'd be a whole lot more than they're getting. 100% agree. Been saying it for years. I'm glad to hear Gary say it yesterday and say they do a championship game, it will be jumped on by television, not for the big bucks, but they will take it and run with it, and it will up their dollars considerably, in my opinion, not to get anywhere close to the Power Fives. And I think they would do their championship somewhere before the Power Fives do their championship. That's what I would think would go down.
Okay, let me toss that, Watson, a little bit further. Let's just make up some stuff here. Let's say that your national title game in group of 5 were Memphis versus BYU.
Yep.
And you play that game the Saturday before the Monday night Big Boy National Championship. Right. Does the public buy into that in good numbers?
Yes, they will watch that game. I promise you they'll watch that game. And these big bowls might even jump at it, George. The Peach Bowl might take that and do that game. So I think it would fly. And football's so hot right there where you're talking about. Everybody's excited about semifinals, the better bowl games at the end of the year, the semifinals, the championship. You stick it right in there somewhere where football is hot, the hottest it is all year except at the start of a season. And I'm going to tell you, it'll fly. There will be eyeballs watching.
Okay, last question. This one's probably aimed at me. Do I believe that Luis Castillo of the Reds will be traded? And the answer is, I think absolutely before the deadline. Watson, he is probably as good a pitcher who's out there and available. In fact, I think I'm right that he pitches tonight for the Reds. Castillo's really good. And I think the Reds are in a great position right here for a change not to screw it up, because I think there are going to be like 8 or 10 teams vying for him, and all that's going to do is drive the price up.
George, is he not the best thing that's out there right now, pitcher-wise?
That's what I think.
I agree with you. So the Reds, smart here. They come out with a lot out of this deal to me, because there's going to be a bunch of people. Who do you think would end up with him? Whoever gets him now takes a big step toward winning it all. I think he's that good.
I'll tell you who I don't think it is. I don't think it's Atlanta. I think the Braves gave up so much of their minor league capital to get Matt Olson. I don't see them being it. Yeah. So then you get into things like the Yankees, Toronto, I guess the Dodgers, because they have unlimited money, right, and their pitching hadn't been, just super lights out. San Diego might be a possibility. I'm missing some teams. I don't think it's the Red Sox, who today are dead last in the American League East, which is hard for me to believe. But yeah, the Reds, they have had a tendency in the last couple of years to screw up everything. I don't see how they can screw this up.
Be hard, but we'll watch it and see. We've seen them do so much. And George, to be in Cincinnati when the Big Red Machine was rolling as the head coach at UC, it's amazing to me to see where the Reds are today. And it's been a while. It's been a long while since I was at UC. So that tells you the number of years. Unbelievable.
They deserve better ownership.
They haven't gotten back to that level since then, right?
No, since then. they've had some decent teams, and George knows better than me, but they ain't come close to the Big Red Machine.
Oh, good Lord, no. No, the Big Red Machine is probably the greatest collection of baseball talent in my lifetime. I mean, when you think about who was on that team, just go everyday eight. Johnny Bench behind the plate, Tony Perez at first, Joe Morgan at second, Davey Concepcion at short, Pete Rose at third, George Foster, Cesar Geronimo in center, Ken Griffey Sr. in right. I mean, for an everyday eight, I don't believe anybody has ever touched that eight in my lifetime.
Not in my lifetime, and I'm older than you. I've got you by 10. So, no, that is the best, most talented baseball team I've ever seen play in person. And I got to see them play in person some there in Cincinnati. Nothing close to it, in my opinion.
Okay, George, do we want to go to break first and then try the interview? Or
yeah, let's do that. And then we'll run the Herm Edwards interview. You're watching Main Street Media Television.
I've done sports. I've been a photographer. I've been an editor. I've been a producer. I've been a reporter. I've been an anchor. I mean, I've done every job you could possibly imagine this. And so sports was a way to have fun and be different. But then I realized community is where it's at, and community and local and doing places and going, seeing people. And, sports, you go to a stadium, everybody celebrates and they go their different ways. But community-wise, there's so much going on.
When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin.
Okay, let's try the Herm Edwards interview again. As most of you know, he has left the pro ranks, headed to Arizona State University. I believe this is year number 4 for him, and I think you'll enjoy a wide range of topics. Here we go.
George, I do not know why it is not letting us play this. So,
okay.
Good luck, George.
I tell you what we're going to do. We'll get Brian Stewart in here in just a few moments, and then we'll go bet of the day, and then we will call it a day. Watson, by the way, for what it's worth, the Braves got blasted today in Philadelphia, 7-2. And Charlie Morton, who has been hot and cold, when he's been good, he's been really good. When he hasn't been, he's been very hittable. This has got to be a little concerning because they got within a half game of the Mets, and suddenly, if New York wins tonight against the Yankees, they're back up by 3, and they are for real.
No, I've thought all along, George, the Mets are for real. They've done this without two of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Now, one of them's back, but they're for real. The Braves are going to have to. They didn't have this to overtake last year. They didn't have it. This team's for real.
One other thing, the baseball trading deadline is August the 2nd. I've plucked one out of thin air with Atlanta's injury to Adam Duvall. Duvall was a guy that they had and then let go. And given that they're willing to do that kind of thing, it would not shock me at all if they come back and do this same thing and get Jorge Soler back from the Marlins. In fact, I think that's a real. If I was just going to pluck one out of thin air, and if I'm right, I win $1 million. Jorge Soler.
Why wouldn't you? You know him. You know what he did this time a year ago, right through the World Series. Why in the world wouldn't you do that?
It's pretty amazing. Really is.
No, we're all watching Alex because I think there got to be some helps for the Braves to do it. They got to beat the Mets first, and I don't think the team they have right now can catch them. I just don't think they can.
For the first time, I'm starting to have my doubts. I had been very confident for a good while, but I really admire the fact that the Mets have not knuckled into this pressure. When it got within a half game, I know I believed this, that if the Braves ever took the lead, that it was over. And now I'm not sure I believe that.
I'm such a Buck Showalter fan. I don't believe that. He's just not going to let that happen. They're going to fight till the bitter end. They're not going to give it to the Braves. They're not going to choke. Not with him. He is a competitive dude, and as Atlanta's is, Snit's the same way. So it's going to the wire. The Mets are not going to pull away. I can tell you that right now. The Braves are not. That's not going to happen. It's going to be fun, George, and it may be down to the last week before we know.
Okay. I see Brian Stewart in the background. Brian, we need the Yankees. I never thought I would root for the Yankees, but you know what? Tonight, I might.
George, we need all the help we can get right now. I think you and Watson hit the nail on the head, man. I think that series where the Mets came to Atlanta was the telltale, for me, when they rolled into town, and we won the second game, but I mean, you could clearly see that the Mets meant business, and I think they used it as, just a way to call their shot and say, hey, we're not going anywhere without a fight. That's for sure.
Brian, let's talk a little bit about your business. Things have changed in the last 2 or 3 months. It was totally a seller's market. You could just throw a house out there and boom. Well, all of a sudden, playtime is over in that respect.
That's a very good way of putting it. The playtime's over. Look, the market is not dead for a seller. Sellers are still getting top dollar for a home, but top dollar has changed from the 100,000 over asking to basically the sellers are needing to listen to a realtor. I mean, this is what we do every day. We have our finger on the market. We know what the CMAs are about. We know what the hot sheets are saying. That's what I want people to understand is that us as realtors, we're here to help you guys, anybody out there looking for real estate, to get top dollar for your property. And if you're a buyer, to help you get the best deal possible on buying a property. With the way the market has shifted, you're still going to be able to sell a home. You're still going to be able to be in a hot market, which Nashville always is. It has been for the last 3 years, and it still continues to be. There's still no letdown for a seller. The only thing that I'm seeing is that there is a little bit of an uptick for the buyers now, to where they can maybe get a little concession to them. They might be able to get those closing costs. They might be able to get the home warranty that they want. They might even be able to do an inspection, which the last couple of years, honestly, George, I mean, it literally has been, you take the house as is, where it is. So now buyers are having that option. Go in, get a home inspection, able to ask for repairs, things like that.
Brian, tell people how to reach you.
The office number is 615-822-0750. My cell phone number is 615-440-7011. And I want everybody to look at our webpage, onestoprealtytn.com. You can see all of our agents on there. We have 30 agents that range in age and experience, and they're all there to help you. So please go on there and check them out. Look at their profiles. You may connect with one of them just because some of them have military service, etc. Also, look at us on Facebook and on Instagram. Give us a like, give us a follow. We have the knowledge to help you, and that's what we're here for.
Brian, we'll do it again tomorrow. You have a good one.
You have a great one, George. Watson, have a great day, man.
Same to you, Brian. Good to see you, man.
Yes, sir.
And I never thought I'd say it. Maybe go Yankees. Okay, Plaster bet of the day is in the on-deck circle. We have a 1-game winning streak, Watson. This is big.
Boy, I'm telling you, when we got to talk about a 1-game winning streak, we're in deep trouble. Jeez.
We'll talk about that and more when we come back. This is Main Street Media Television.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee. We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards. We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
Okay, let's check in on Plaster bet of the day. And Billy, for a change, we're on a high.
George, yes, you are 4-7 now after that miraculous victory last night from Seattle. Of course, you took a loss on Monday with the Dodgers, but you're back to 4-7, creeping up. 3 more wins, it'll get you back to 7-7. It's probably a long journey, but George, that was a huge win last night.
It was. Seattle blew Watson a 3-0 lead in the 8th inning. I had vowed to stay awake. That didn't really happen, but I woke back up in the 8th inning to see the whole thing fall apart. Then Texas took a 4-3 lead in the top of the 9th inning. And God bless a Seattle Mariner named Cal Raleigh, who hit a booming double up the alley in right center that propelled Seattle to the comeback win. Made me feel good.
I'm glad that at least Cal's not a fraud, right? He's
a great American.
Yeah, he's a great American, yeah. He's a great red-blooded American, as you call him, yeah.
He sure is. So, Watson, in an effort to get a 2-game winning streak, there aren't a lot of games tonight. Most of the activity was during the day. So limited menu. Let's put up there where I'm going tonight.
The Red Sox.
Oh, yeah. Fenway Park, baby. Nathan Eovaldi, really good pitcher, although Cal Quantrill for the Guardians, whatever they are.
Easy.
I know.
Watch out. Hopefully that doesn't happen to the Braves here soon.
Well, yeah, let's hope not. Anyway, Watson, all eyes will be on Fenway Park. Can we make it 2 in a row?
Well, you got a shot. I would have took the Yankees. The Yankees not going to lose to the Mets again.
They are a huge underdog. See, this is where you just kind of throw it out there. You know, have you studied who's pitching for the Mets?
No, I haven't.
Scherzer.
Who is?
It's called Max Scherzer.
Oh, God, I don't think I'd take the Yankees.
Look out.
Yeah, but I mean, what if you had come with that?
Well, I probably would have.
You couldn't do any worse than I have.
Couldn't do any worse than a guy that's studying it hard like you are.
I knew that was coming. Watson, it's the Red Sox tonight at Fenway as we try to get 2 in a row. We will see you tomorrow.
George, get feeling better, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. This is Main Street Media Television.